Hey, Joshua.
Hey, how are you?
Good. Do you go by Josh or Joshua?
Usually Josh. Actually, I
Josh.
should just
Okay.
put that in the attendees as Josh. That would make more
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. You usually people will go by that by their nickname and put it down, but I see it as Joshua on the
On Zoom, yeah.
yes, there you go on Zoom. So let me figure this out. Let me see if oh, I look horrible today. I'm still recuperating. Uh
Great.
yeah, I've been a little under the weather lately.
Oh,
Um yeah. So let's see. So then I will put your topic
yes,
under
that'll be
the
great.
agenda. Yeah. Oh, wrong place. Let me put this here. Oh, there it goes. Okay.
Sweet.
All right. Hey, Jeff, how are you doing?
Doing well. How are you? I know
Good,
that it's
good.
still not, but you're on the upswing though.
Yes, I am. Yeah, yesterday I feel like it's weird. It's been like only a week and it feels like I've been gone for like a month from these meetings.
Oh.
It feels really long.
Time
I've been
dilation when you feel sick, am I right?
yeah, yeah, like the specification call was yesterday and I didn't attend and I'm like, man, I'm so out of it. I feel like I don't know what's going on anymore and it's only been a week. So,
Oh,
yeah. Um, okay. Hey, Mike, how are you?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing?
Better.
Well, that's good.
Still recuperating, but yeah, bit better. Let's see, what time is it? Okay, it is 1:01. I'm sure people will hop on. And Josh,
mhm.
you found the link to the to the
Yes.
notes. So okay. Um, let me see. So Josh, you closed on the house, huh?
I did, yes, just like a couple hours ago, actually.
Nice, nice.
Yeah,
And
I
you
got
made
my
it to the
key.
meeting.
Yeah, yeah.
No excuses for
Nice.
anybody else ever.
Oh man, I feel
Not
like I
moved in
would be
yet.
like celebrating or something. I wouldn't be joining any meetings after
Hey,
closing
I've
on the
had a little
house.
bit of champagne, so
Okay, okay, okay. I won't tell anyone.
not too much, so I'm work ready, but
Got it, got it. Okay, nice, nice. So you're hiring Mike. I'm hiring too. I just not under me, under other people.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we just got our funding, so now we're gonna be hiring. So that's it.
Nice, nice.
nice.
Yeah. And did you sign in, Jeff? No, I don't think you signed in. Let me put
Oh, no, I didn't.
yeah, it's okay. I'll just put it in since Jason's joining too. Just remind folks to sign in. Let's see. Hey, Jason, welcome. Um, yeah, my little tidbit of the day is don't eat too much peanut butter. Um, apparently it's horrible for your stomach. I had no idea. I love peanut butter, and apparently I ate just a tad bit too much, and I was in extreme amount of pain
Oh no.
for hours, hours. Yeah, and like no Tums, no Mylanta, no nothing would fix it.
Oh,
And I Googled it. I'm like, does peanut butter give you stomachache? And it says it does for some
nice.
reason. I think it's something about the fats in it, that if you eat
Hmm.
too much of it. But I love peanut butter. I eat peanut butter all the time. And just yesterday, I was just a little bit too indulgent. And yep, there goes my stomach. Anywho, okay. So newcomers, I think, Josh, you're the only newcomer, but
I
feel
have
free
been
to introduce yourself.
hanging around some of the salsa meetings, and but I have not been able to be as regular as I wish I could be, and I have not attended this positioning meeting before. So let me give a little brief introduction to myself. I am a security architect at Red Hat, and so I work with our projects to improve their security on a variety of different levels, but one of the ones that we're focused pretty heavily on, especially recently, is supply chain. So I'm definitely excited to be involved, and I want to help wherever I can. And I do have a topic that I'd like to talk about a little bit later that I brought up in one of the other meetings, but it was not the correct forum. So I am here at the correct forum for that.
No worries. I mean, these breakouts are kind of new, so you never know where to bring something up, and sometimes it overlaps too. So, oh, Bruno, you finished an
Congratulations.
Ironman. Good job. That is, oh my goodness, I can barely finish 3 miles right now. So, let alone an Ironman. Ah, where was it?
It was in Maple Valley in Washington
Oh, nice.
last
nice.
Sunday. Yeah.
Nice. Wow. And that's crazy, but congratulations on
Thank you.
finishing that. Yeah, that's a big kudos. A lot of dedication, a lot of planning, I'm sure, especially with nutrition for the
Nutrition is
Ironman.
critical. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The
Yeah.
last 2 miles, I got bunk. Like
Ah,
no way to move on, and then I have to walk and then take some Coke and think like that. Coca-Cola.
mhm. Yeah. Yeah. I guess you ran out of like energy gels and things like
Oh,
that.
all the time. Yes.
Okay. Okay. So let's go ahead and get started, and let me share the agenda if I can find my Chrome. You can see it, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. So welcome, Josh. We're gonna do a quick updates. I don't see Jay on, so we'll probably have to delay that. Has anyone worked with Jay on the development blog? I think it was from last time we met. There was kind of a thought that we would release 2 blogs by the end of the year. One would be focused on salsa and development. And then the other one was by Jeff. You were the POC. Doesn't mean that you're the only one writing it, but not sure if there's been any headway in that at all.
No, I haven't even gotten started.
Okay. So what can we do to help? Do we need to set up some meetings, or just tell me what you need?
God, I just need time.
Time.
Do you have to,
It happens.
do you happen to have a machine that stops time so I can get done things that I really need to get done? Yeah, I just need to prioritize and get it done.
Okay.
I will, and Roy already offered assistance, so figure I'll kind of get started with a skeleton, and
Okay.
then touch base with Roy to kind of start putting meat on it.
Okay. Yeah, and if you need help, right, from the group, feel free to, post whenever you do get that outline, post it to this also positioning channel, and people can just chime in, right?
Okay.
I'm sure other folks would be more than happy to partake. And then
Jeff-
Isaac is, oh, go ahead.
Just one question. You already have the POC. You just try to document, or it's a proposition for a POC?
Oh no, that means point of contact. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
He's the main point of contact.
All right.
Sorry. I didn't mean to suggest POC. I'll change that.
Okay.
No, it's just a point of contact.
We're all kind of in that stage, right? Everyone in
Yeah.
life.
I said, wow.
Yeah.
Proof of concept, Josh.
Yeah. No, yeah, we had talked about, it was kind of, wasn't on the agenda. We were just talking about different things, and Jeff mentioned, why don't we do a blog series in terms of like the different phases? And then we agreed on a development one, and then a build one, and maybe give it like a month and a half for each to be completed. So I was trying to see if there was anything, can't think of the word right now. Any progress? There you go. Any progress made, but that's fine. Yeah, and let me know if you want me to set up meetings. Now that I'm not sick anymore, I think I can start being more active. And then Isaac was also going to be doing one on attestation. He did acknowledge that he still owes me a blog post, and it's on his list. So he's at least still aware of it. And then Jay was going to look at the tools.
I do see Jay is on now.
Oh, he is?
On
Hey,
the,
Jay.
I see his bubble.
Okay. It's like, I don't know how to get this
I'm here.
thing to show me everybody. It's not showing me everybody. It's just showing me a couple of people. And yeah, I can't get it to like expand. Hi Jay. And then I also see a Chris. So if you haven't signed in, I'm gonna put this in the chat. If I can find the chat. I can, there it is, chat. There it is. Okay. And feel free to sign in. So Jay, since you're on, any progress on the development outline or blog? You remember? Do I need to remind?
Well, yeah. What I wanted to do is I wanted to see if I can't get a good couple of meetings on the calendar just to do a deeper dive
Okay.
to organize a few points. Also, with respect to OSCAL tools, there's been a couple of conversations circulating about those tools, and I think OSCAL was mentioned during the NIST Center of Excellence WebEx yesterday. That I thought was pretty interesting too. So I want to double back on that to see what that tool did for I want to say it was 800-2. I want to say that's 210, 261. I can't remember what it was. I know 161 wasn't it, but it was like 210 or 261. Whatever one was around the SSDF, they had mentioned OSCAL and that, so I want to take a look at that as well.
Okay.
So I'll do a dive into that, but definitely need a couple of meetings around the development piece, just so I can level set on a couple of points for the outline of the blog and then get that way. So yeah, that's where I'm at now.
Yeah, feel free to set up the meetings. I forget who it was that said that they would help you. I know I said, feel free to sign me up too. I can help where I can. And if you have a place that you're documenting these things, just drop it in the salsa positioning channel.
Sure.
And right, a lot of people I'm sure will be happy to help. But if you want to have a dedicated meeting, just feel free to send one out with this Zoom link.
Cool.
So
Yeah,
you don't have to create your own.
I mean, I just need something like 30 minutes or so. I don't need something that's heavy. Just something where I can organize a few points that says yes, we're good. Talk about these things, and I can extrapolate and pop in, and then expand on them. That's all.
Okay. So set up a 30-minute meeting, and then maybe set up a draft area. And I know, Jeff, you said that you were going to do that too, to set up a draft area. Okay. Okay. Does anybody have the link to the recording for that NIST meeting that they can put in here? No.
I gotta dig it. I think they might have sent it in an email to all the attendees, or you can go onto the NIST website and grab
Okay.
the or stream the WebEx.
Okay.
I can't remember what they said in the meeting in terms of that, but I'll do some digging, see if I can find something.
Okay. Okay. The other update, I created it, that was like about 2 weeks ago. I did create some JSON files for the requirements, for the different like mapping, the summary rather, like high level versus the actual in detail, build versus provenance. So Mike, I don't know if this is what you need, or what we need, I should say, for the OSCAL implementation, but I think I remember hearing that this was a good start to just create that JSON file. So I did it for all of the different levels in the website.
Sure. Yeah, I'll have to take a look. Yeah, I'm not super. It's been several years since I've dived into the sort of the OSCAL JSON format. So I'll go take a look there.
Okay. Yeah, and then I did attach the files. I didn't attach the JSON, but obviously you can copy the JSON, but at least the CSV that created it when I converted it, so if you need to alter it for some reason, you use that. Let's see. And Mike, I don't have access to changing labels, so I don't know. I was trying to put it as a positioning label, but I can't do that. I don't know if you have access to
Yeah,
doing
I
that.
have access to that. Give me a second
Okay,
and
sure.
I'll change it.
Yeah, I saw this maybe 1.0 and I'm like, oh, I think Mark thinks it's for the 1.0 specification. It would be nice to have, but not initially, right? Initially, it's just trying to do it for the version, what is it, 0.1 that it's on right now?
Yep.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. And is there anybody from Oh, Jay, you're here from Microsoft. So Isaac in the positioning channel suggested to kind of go over this and figure out, can we maybe have some sort of blog or communication on how this new framework by Microsoft is going to work alongside SLSA. So not sure if you have insights into that.
Well, as a matter of fact, I do, because I'm the one that's been pushing it into the open on behalf of Microsoft. That's
Awesome.
me and Adrian Diglio.
Awesome.
Yeah. So the long and short is this framework is very consumer based and consumer focused, right? A lot of the conversations had in the specification meeting, a lot of conversations had even in this meeting and in the tooling meeting, sometimes the scope of SLSA gets fudged a little bit. There's a lot of scope creep because there are a lot of gaps that are identified that are actually filled on the consumer side of supply chain security. So this framework deals primarily consumer focused and consumer based versus SLSA, which is very producer focused, producer based. My argument, and not necessarily argument, but my pitch is these two frameworks can be developed side by side in parallel, bridged. There could be bridges built between the two of them. And then I always end with this saying, how beautiful would it be to have some type of an ISO standard, -1, -2, and -3. I include the -3 later on, saying -1 for producer focused, -2 for consumer focused, or you can flip and bounce those. I don't care which one comes, but then a -3 for the tooling around each of these, right? Within the OpenSSF, within the Linux Foundation generally, there is a feeder. We have a feeder, and David Willard can expand upon this, but there is a feeder into publishing ISO standards. There's a precedent already that this can actually be done through the Linux Foundation. And we have both of these frameworks. The Secure Supply Chain Framework right now is going into incubation. But we have both of these frameworks currently within the OpenSSF, currently being worked on in the open, improved on in the open. And with everyone collectively working on these together, we can make them, we can put the rigor in, they could become so robust. Everyone's trained to start working in unison to take these two great frameworks that are being worked on and march them forward to the ISO specification, if we so choose. That's my look at them. That's for me being involved in all the meetings, all the conversations, understanding what the gaps are, and saying both of these documents complement each other very well. And then the tooling around them can be developed. And yet, when you're developing the tooling, hell, even in the tooling conversations, a lot of those things are like, well, this tool works for this, but it may not address that. Or it may address this, but it may not address that. Well, should it address that? Well, I don't know. But in this particular case, now we can begin to answer those questions a little bit more fluidly if we're working these two frameworks in parallel. And that's my 1 and 2. So when it comes to positioning, especially in this meeting, I'm saying we can position SLSA and the secure supply chain framework, bridging between the two, make comments on one. They can begin to march together because they should, right? So that's
Got
my long and short pitch on that. And Isaac, with Isaac making that suggestion is outstanding, and thank you very much for that, Isaac. I'm not sure if he's on the call, but thank you if you are.
No, he's not. He had to skip today. So curious, Jay, then, is there someone, obviously I don't want to overload you because you already have that development blog, but is there someone that maybe you can work with or another Microsoft person that can try to write a blog about this to say, hey, you know, this is how the two can work together, or this is how they're different?
We actually have something like that already, and to make it a little bit more, put a little bit more rigor on it, I don't mind taking on that task because I think we already have something like that already. All I do is reach out to Adrian, who I'm partnered with, who I'm partnered with, bringing it into the open, and bringing it and making it part of OpenSSF. All I gotta do is grab some of the stuff that we've already written and put that out there as well.
Okay. Need to work with Adrian. Okay, awesome. Any questions from folks to Jay? I don't see hands up, so I'm gonna.
A lot of people, I think a lot of people leaving on this call have heard this in 2 or 3 places already, because I've been all over the different working groups with this. So I mean, they've heard this pitch.
Got it.
A lot of you have.
Awesome. Yeah, I've been out for like a week, so I have no idea what's happening. Hi, Marcella.
Yeah, hi. So I guess a few comments. I totally really like the positioning of consumer versus producer information, because I think that, yeah, can help us to start create this taxonomy. My question would be, because yeah, you're right, I was at the SLSA meeting last Thursday and heard you talk about this, Jay. Can you maybe give a little bit more details on the types of information that the SSC would capture that really, just to get an idea of how it would complement SLSA?
So when we talk about capturing, I think we'll step back. We'll take a step back and we'll talk about ingestion of open source, which is something that the SLSA framework doesn't cover, right?
Yeah.
We'll talk about those specific threats that are experienced at the consumer level. And now I don't have the framework up in front of me, but there's a whole table of threats, risks, and then controls that can be put in place at the consumer level, at that base level, which is different than when it comes to SLSA and you're attesting to certain things, right? So the SSC as it stands right now, and like I said before, being improved in the open. This is something that's going to happen in the open. Whether there becomes a compliance requirement, a compliance basis for where there are attestations, SLSA already has that in place with, you know, when we talk about in total attestations, everything like that, you're attesting something that's compliance, very compliance heavy. This is very security heavy. So when you look at the SSC, look at it as a security framework, a maturity model, if you will, rather than a compliance requirement. When I talk about the 1-2 punch, I talk about the security framework and maturity model that is the SSC paired with the producer-focused compliance basis of SLSA. You have the one that deals with taking controls, putting them in place, respective tooling at the consumer level. The other one that says, okay, producer, now you're having to meet these compliance requirements. What's this sign? Is there S-bombs? All this kind of stuff. Where's your attestation? Where's your signing? And then go to a third and say, this is the tooling that governs both. Now you have standards that third parties now can take to say, hey, are these requirements met? And then you can have further certification based on that. Now, all of these things can be worked on, like we're doing now in the open. The whole point of this is continuous improvement, continuous development, continuous massaging to the point where they're all ready and can be published as standards later on. So I hope that answers the question there. But when it comes to capturing, I think you take it a step back and say, what ends of the spectrum and supply chain security are both of these frameworks targeting? And I say the secure supply chain comes from the ingestion standpoint, where your SLSA comes from the build standpoint. So we're talking about on two different ends, working into the middle.
Yeah. No, I do get what you're saying. I think that makes a lot of sense. So thanks for explaining that. I guess my question was also more when I said capture, I mean, and maybe I just misunderstand what the SSE is really meant to do. But is it actually a metadata format of some sort, or a policy specification? Not policy specification, because that sort of is a whole separate can of worms. I guess I'm just trying to understand the actual information that SSE conveys compared to SLSA.
So once again, I would. So if we're thinking about deliverables, I'm gonna say, what's a deliverable? What's the output? I want to say that could you build a report from this? Sure, right? I referenced it being almost like a maturity model. You have levels 1 through 4, saying if you're level 1, if you reach level 1 maturity, you've incorporated these things. If you reach level 2 maturity, you incorporated these things. Of course, level 4 being something that's kind of aspirational in terms of how strict you are, with your security posture at that point. I think as a deliverable would be the level that you've reached per the artifacts that have been developed based on the set of controls you have in place that you can actually, and I'm going to say this word, attest to, right? So I think that's what gets delivered from it. But once again, where the takeaway is here is this is strictly at that consumer level on how you bring in open source, how you utilize open source, right? So how it comes into the organization, whatever mechanism that is, and then of course, is it scanned properly? Have the vulnerabilities been identified? Have they been remediated? What did you use to do it? All that kind of stuff, right? Before you even get to a point now where you're focusing on the build portion of things. So
Okay.
I'm trying to keep this as high level as possible because I don't want to do a deep dive. I'm willing to do that, of course, but I think I want to have a bit more preparation to do that. And I also want to bring Adrian in because he's, of course, the one that actually wrote the document. So I've read it, I understand it, but a lot of the nuances might come best from him. And then I'll always conclude with, this is why we brought it into the open, so that we can identify gaps, we can identify areas where things need to be improved, need to be scaled and thought about towards scaling them for the future of secure supply chain. And then how can we drive that forward towards specification, the same thing that we're doing here with SLSA.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for that. That actually if I may, brings up a question, Melba, because I'm starting to think that there's actually a lot more connection here with the SLSA source requirements that we sort of started to brainstorm with Sean and Gilbert, I think was his name.
Yep.
So I'm wondering if we should sort of circle back to,
Probably. Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I know we were supposed to meet and then I got sick, so I didn't get to put that meeting together. So I'll try to put that meeting together for later this week, and then we can bring this into. And sorry to put you on the spot, Jay.
Oh no, no, it's
yeah,
all it's
I
all
didn't
good.
mean
It's all
to.
good. I mean, I look, I love the work that we're doing. I love this stuff in general. So I'm okay with being put on the spot, because I think there's a wonderful opportunity here for the work that we're doing with SLSA and the work that we're doing with the SSC. I think there is a wonderful opportunity here that could bear some real fruit over the next year or so, if we stay the course, if we don't blurry the lines scope wise, and we run in parallel. I think we have the opportunity to produce something that's just amazing. So put me on the spot, please, because I'll go at it all day long.
Yeah, Isaac, put it on there on the Slack channel, and I'm like, oh, well, yeah, if somebody from Microsoft is willing to talk to it, then sure. Why not? Okay. So before I let Josh start speaking, are there any other newcomers to this meeting? I can't quite see everyone, but I'm not seeing anyone. But I also am not. Okay, well, if you are a newcomer and you want to speak up, feel free to interrupt and just kind of introduce yourself. Let's see. So next on the agenda, I will give it away to Josh. This did come up in the positioning meeting, or rather the specification meeting, not this week, but previous week.
Yep.
And it was recommended that it be brought here. So take it away if you want it. I don't remember you sharing your screen. I think you talked through it, right?
Yeah, I can just talk through it.
Okay.
So basically, my thought is, I know that there was kind of a discussion previously about corroborating security claims. Organizations come out and say, hey, I'm SLSA level 4, I'm SLSA level 5, I'm SLSA level 7. How do we kind of prevent dilution of the brand and allow it to be a useful thing for consumers who utilize build systems? So my idea was, could we potentially trademark SLSA and produce a set of badges that are available for use for companies that sign an agreement, or under the terms of the license, they comply with the terms of the license by meeting a set of requirements. And so if it ever, at least get legal at their company involved in the process of them saying anything regarding their SLSA level, so that we can kind of at least put some sort of barrier in between people outright lying about what their SLSA level and in good faith incorporating SLSA to the best of their ability, and in good faith, executing up with us, having to go and audit every single organization that might want to say that they are a certain SLSA level. So my thought process would be, as we standardize and develop requirements around each level, like what type of evidence would be required in order to show that you are SLSA level 1, we could produce, oh, well, now we're ready to produce a SLSA level 1 badge and provide it for anyone who can consume it. And then all of a sudden, say GitHub, yeah, Microsoft does a great job with their build system, and they reach the ability to perform SLSA level 1 builds, right? They can stick our badge on their build system product, and because consumers can trust to some extent that they're probably not lying because legal got involved, and if they were caught lying, there would be a violation of the license. So I think that would prevent us from doing a lot of work, auditing every single company. But also maybe put a little roadblock in the way of someone who might lie about their salsa level.
Go ahead, Mike.
Sure. Great minds think alike. So that's actually already being done by the Linux Foundation at this point. So we do have that thing getting done. And just to kind of give you an idea, we do have this idea of the salsa badges. Actually, Kim from Chain Guard was supposed to give a demo on it this past Thursday, but she got pulled away into something. So it'll probably be next Thursday where she'll give a little bit of a demo on some of the conversation between the Linux Foundation and Salsa about that. But yeah, it hits all those things. I believe salsa technically it might already be trademarked. I think the thing is we're just trying to make sure that yeah, so there's a couple of things that are kind of coming out. We're building out what is being called a conformance program. So the idea would be, yeah, you're allowed to self-claim salsa, but if you do, if you do assert salsa, you need to at least state these things. And then that would be potentially used as like, if it turned out you were lying about that, that could be used against you, which is, hey, that's fine. Because it's like, hey, you asserted that you were doing X, Y, and Z, and it turned out you were completely lying about it. And you were therefore, hurting the salsa brand and trademark.
If it is already trademarked, then cease and desist letters need to begin to go out to some organizations, I'm sure, because trademarks are only valid if you defend them.
Yeah, so that's very much more on the Linux Foundation than I think us, because we already have the lawyers who are doing that sort of thing. And I believe they might have already done that in a couple of situations where folks are just sort of saying, we've seen people say stuff like, we're salsa level 5. There is no salsa level 5. Stuff like that. But once again, that's kind of very much like we do. There's a group of Linux Foundation lawyers who are dealing with that sort of thing, and that's totally out of the scope there.
It might be good then for us to have something about that on the salsa page to state, to kind of talk about, hey, we're not ready for anyone to begin claiming this, but we're working on building badges and conformance requirements so that you can use salsa in marketing material. It would be good to have a page, I think, that kind of states out that stuff.
Yep. Yeah, no, to be clear, I agree. The Linux Foundation lawyers have been doing a lot of interesting stuff on that is beyond me. So I think maybe it might be worthwhile to reach out to a couple of the lawyers to have them maybe give a presentation in one of the upcoming meetings here to kind of explain their reasoning, because they've said a couple of things that, once again, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't totally grok it. But just to kind of give a high level overview, though, there was two things that we were pushing. One was a self-conformance sort of program of you can state these things. And then there was also sort of an idea of a third-party audit accreditation, where you can imagine, potentially something like a third party in conjunction with, can get certified by the Linux Foundation itself. And anybody could apply for it based on some training. And then they could go out to other organizations and say, hey, I've audited you. I'm taking on additional liability myself, because if it turns out I audited you and I lied about the audit, people can come after me, but I can audit you and say that you're this level of salsa. And there's a couple of different levels of it too. One is salsa build services. So these are things like GitHub actions and different, services could claim based on the way that the service is set up. We can do salsa level this by default and up to salsa level this if your project meets these requirements. And so and then separately, there would be each individual project can go in and say, great, I built this way on a salsa this level builder. And then in addition to that, I apply these extra set of rules, which allow me to be, for example, salsa level 4, right? Because you can say I'm salsa level 4, and that means you need to be doing all this extra stuff like potentially reproducible and yeah.
It could be in the Git repo on GitHub. Your workflow is tagged with salsa level something, and then people can just look in the repo and verify it. That would be great. Something like that.
Yeah.
So Mike, I heard you say that I think you're going to see if there's lawyers that can give an overview. Did I hear that
Yeah,
wrong?
let me reach out to Kim, because she's been
Okay.
doing a lot of work on that end.
Okay.
Awesome.
And then I think I think it was you, Josh, that mentioned, maybe we should post something on the Salsa website to say, hey, you can't say that you're Salsa level 4 because we're not ready, blah, blah, blah. So trying to understand, where do we envision that being? Who could potentially do that? Is that part of this group's responsibilities, or do we have to bring it to the steering committee for them to do it? Just trying to figure out logistics.
I think it would make sense for us to talk to the lawyers to see exactly what restrictions they are going to put in place, right? And then if they could lay them out clearly, then I think probably anyone from this also, organization could, like any of us could write up a blog post that kind of takes legal language and maybe makes it a little bit more security professional focus, so that our security professionals know what they can or cannot say, can and cannot do right now, and what might be coming in the future for them to be able to use. That would be great. I think,
Jason?
but probably the lawyers would need to be, at least give us an overview, right?
Yeah.
An outline of what's allowed, what's not allowed.
Jason, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I apologize for not chiming in earlier. I am working with Kim on the conformance program. And so, yeah, as it was described, we were going to present, just wanted to make sure we had some more eyes on what we're proposing, but yes. So I could answer any questions around that.
Awesome.
Yeah, so
Folks?
do you know what the current sort of status is? I know Kim and I had sort of talked a few weeks ago, but I know things have been sort of really busy. And then also, I haven't seen any GitHub issues regarding the conformance thing. I could be missing it, but I think we probably want to make sure that it's tracked in a Salsa issue.
Absolutely. Yeah, some of the statuses on that. Actually, we wanted to run this by you as well. And I think part of the problem is I'm not too savvy with the GitHub process. So I think we do want to put it out there. We just want to run it internally a couple eyes and then run it by you as well, so that the whole process doesn't really come as a surprise. But to both of your questions, yes, we do plan on presenting relatively soon. In fact, like you had mentioned, we missed the opportunity last session. So we're hoping to get this out as soon as possible.
Hey, Jason, I'd love to help with a review or anything. If you have a document,
Okay.
I'd love to participate in that. I used to work at Deloitte, so I know kind of the compliance side of things and the audit side. So that might be a valuable eye to have on there.
Okay, absolutely. Let me figure out how I should go about that. But Michael, if you have, like you mentioned, putting it on GitHub might be the appropriate way to do that.
Yeah, I think the main thing is we want to make sure that it's out in the open, even if it's just knowing that folks are looking at the Salsa conformance thing. We just don't want, like, there's a bunch of different things. Like, we don't want like 3 or 4 different groups to start like working on the thing, and it turns out they've all been, doing different things with different groups. And we just want to make sure that also, like, making sure that it's out in the open. We like, the last thing we want is for folks to think that like any one company is the conformance company for Salsa, that kind of thing.
Exactly.
And so we just want to really, really make sure that it's out in the open.
Okay, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so you're going to work with Mike, Jason, to get it in GitHub, I'm guessing.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, so it sounds like we don't need the lawyers since we
Well,
have Jason.
I mean, Jason, if you've been working with, it might still be worthwhile to just, if any of those lawyers can like give a short, probably like 15-minute presentation of, like, I'm sure there's probably the Linux Foundation probably, and I know I've seen this with some of the other stuff they've done. They probably just have a generically, this is how we do brands and trademarks, especially when it comes to sort of standards and frameworks and those sorts of things within the Linux Foundation. and most likely salsa probably already falls under it. We just need to be make sure that we're communicating it out in the right way and yada yada. Yeah.
We need to be aware of it. Like, none of us want to have our companies post something about
Yeah,
salsa and it just be like horribly out of scope of what it needs to be.
Yeah,
Usually.
exactly. And I know that there's a lot of folks who are mistakenly, like, to be clear, some of them are not, it's not on purpose, but they're like, oh, based on my understanding of salsa, I'm salsa 3. And it's like, actually, you're hitting some of it, but you're more salsa 2. And so I think we just need to make sure that that's clear, because once again, the worst thing that could happen to us, right, is a bunch of folks claim that there are all sorts of different levels of salsa. There's no ruling behind it. There's no enforcement behind it. And then salsa just gets diluted and no one, yeah.
Yeah, and to add on that, I think the lawyers' discussion would be great because of the talk about the trademark. So what I've kind of been focusing on with Kim has really nothing on enforcing the trademark. It's more just about a transparent way to attest to salsa conformance levels. And yeah, we do want to make this completely open. We just wanted to set some eyes on it before we put it out there, but I guess I should have did that way. Again, I'm not just not GitHub savvy on that.
I'm not
Yep.
either. I learn as I go, so it's okay, Jason.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else on this topic? Oh, as you all were talking about this, it made me remember, I actually was reached out to by someone in the TAC that knows about the work that we're doing. I think they read the notes and they said, oh, are you going to be publishing the blog for review from the TAC? Apparently there's some new procedures that we're supposed to do that.
So that is true for if we are talking about like a big announcement that would be on the OpenSSF, then yes. If it is a smaller and if it's like just a smaller blog, there's 2 different ways. Like if it's on the Salsa blog, right? Because once again, Salsa has a steering committee. I don't know if you're talking about the TAC for the OpenSSF or you're talking about
Yes,
the steering committee for
OpenSSF.
Salsa.
Yeah, OpenSSF. They said that that we're supposed to put it to the OpenSSF TAC to review the blog.
Yeah, so that's only true if we're publishing it to the OpenSSF blog. The Salsa blog, that doesn't have to get done.
Okay. Reviewed by the TAC. Okay. Okay. And I can also, double clarify with that person, but they're like, oh, are you going to get this reviewed by the TAC? And I'm like, the OpenSSF TAC?
Yeah, so for the Salsa steering, so the Salsa steering committee would approve it for all the other stuff, but it's also the way that we've been doing it is if it's also an official Salsa thing, then it requires multiple members of the steering committee to vote and be like, yeah, this is an official announcement, versus the other thing that we've done, which is more of a, hey, a community contributor wants to contribute like their viewpoint on Salsa, which we separated, and we've made it clear in those blog articles that this is the viewpoint of the contributor, not the viewpoint of Salsa. Whereas when it comes to some of the bigger Salsa blogs, we do get the, we do try to go do a vote among the actual steering committee members so that it becomes a like, yes, this is the viewpoint of Salsa as voted. But we also didn't want to make it so that like every single blog had to be litigated to the ends of the earth. If somebody's like, hey, this is how I've been doing Salsa. Well, there's lots of different ways to do Salsa. And with the conformance program and stuff like that, we'll be able to kind of define, ground rules, but largely there's going to be a broad way of doing Salsa. Different people are going to have slightly different opinions on things, and we don't want to hold up every blog on, the minutia of, well, when you said, like, for example, when you said comply instead of conformance, like, it's fine when we're talking about just a generic blog, that kind of thing.
Got it. The other thing was about the Google group /list. We need to migrate by the end of the year. So I'm not sure if anyone's done this for any other group that have Google groups or Google lists, distribution lists. Does anybody have experience with this? I forget
So
what
with,
it
with
is.
regards to what now? The so my understanding is yeah, we're moving over to some different thing end of year.
Yes. Yes,
I don't
by end of year, we have to be compliant is what I was told.
yeah.
I'm trying to find it. I know I put it in the specification. No, I put it in tooling, I know. And I also put it in the other one, but I can't remember where it is. I'm looking for it. Yep,
And
groups.io is what we're going to be.
okay.
Migrate to groups.io by the end of the year. So does anybody have experience with this? Okay, I'm going to take that as a no. Yeah, we're definitely going to need to do this probably by maybe November, just because everybody's going to go on vacation probably on December. So okay, we'll have to figure out how to do that. I'll try to see if I can research instructions, etc. Because I don't even think I have permissions for the Google groups. Actually, now that I think about it, I think they're created, and I can view it, but I don't think I have the ability to do much with the Google groups. So, okay. Any other questions, comments, thoughts? No? Going once? Going twice? And it sounds like, wait, was it you, Josh? It was you, Josh. You can go enjoy your new house now.
Unfortunately, I've got more work after this, but
Oh, you gotta celebrate just a little bit more, before your next meeting. Here, I'll give everybody 8 minutes back, and then you
there we
can
go.
take that 8
That'll-
minutes
that'll
and
work.
go pop some more champagne.
There we go. I got
Okay,
my
well-
one-on-one with my manager, so I'm not sure if I'm going to be doing
Oh,
that. in this
okay,
next
yeah.
8 minutes.
Yeah, don't do that. Okay, well, thanks everyone for joining. We'll talk soon. Bye, have a good day.
Bye.